welcome to Life Well Loved. I'm Penny. I wanted to do a part 2 to a video I did a couple of days ago regarding the new Murakami collection that's scheduled to come out in January of 2026. And I put a lot of different bags on there just to catalog them, and it included prices as well. And I found a couple of other ones that I think would be of interest. So I have them on my iPad. I'm going to look at them on my iPad and I'll display them on, one of these two corners here just so that you can see what it is that I'm looking at. I think that I've kind of narrowed it down to a couple of things. I want maybe something small, not overly dramatic in the pattern. And then I also noticed that there were a couple of things in the previous video that I wanted to just expand upon because there were some details in there that I think are worthy of your attention. So yeah, if you're interested in that, then stay tuned. So the first few things that I want to talk about are not actually handbags, they're shoes and a bracelet. So the first pair of shoes that I'm looking at is the Lagoon sneakers. And these look really interesting. First of all, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the trends, but white tennis shoes are all the rage, especially with the guys. And I think that these are actually gonna do really well. I could just imagine like having these on with like a cute little pair of colorful shorts. And I think if you had these sneakers, you'd probably wanna have something a little bit smaller as a handbag. So I was really looking at that ivy. I think that would probably be perfect, just kind of carefree. I really like the details on these sneakers. You can see right on the grommet, it has the engraved Louis Vuitton right on it. I do see a little bit of vachetta on the back of the sneaker, but Louis Vuitton loves to do that to us, don't they? To put vachetta on our shoes. I think it's small enough that you probably wouldn't need to worry about that, but I think that this is really cute. And I don't think that they're leather. It's hard to tell from this picture. They may be canvas. I definitely don't think that they're cloth. So at least you have a little bit of some protection there as you wear your white sneakers. This next one is called a 6 a.m. mule, and it looks like it's probably about a 2.5 inch heel. Not a lot of monogram going on it, but probably just enough. Again, with the vachetta on both of the tops of the shoes. I think the bow on the top actually makes it look a little cutesy. Actually, I think the entire multicolor pattern can lend a little bit cutesy. And you see a lot of bows on these collections. So I'm wondering if Murakami was really trying to pull in that really super feminine, cutesy kind of girl that would enjoy bows and rainbows and things like that. I actually have a lot of anxiety with having vachetta on my shoes. I feel like that's a prime area to just attract moisture and dirt. So while I have quite a few of these types of shoes, I don't think that these are going to be for me. The next ones are called frame flats, and these go for $1,010. And these are probably a little bit more my style. I could totally see myself banging around the grocery store with a pair of shoes like this. Again, big splotch of vachetta there. Has a really nice gold emblem on it for Louis Vuitton, so that's cute. I think that these shoes would be great for just a little something. Maybe you don't want to commit to an entire handbag because a patterned multicolored handbag can really take over your entire look. I think that the shoes would probably be a nice addition. When they run these patterns, a lot of times people will be very picky about the placements of where the Louis Vuitton logos are and what are the colors. And I can see on this particular one, you can see that it has predominant of that hot pink and purple. And so that probably would be something that people would be very interested in. I think if I was going to look for a predominant color on a bag or a pair of shoes, I think I'd probably want the green. Next item is this ball cap, and it's white. Okay, I tend to wear makeup, so I always try to shy away from white hats because if I put foundation on my forehead and then I put a hat on, I get a whole situation. I'm sure you guys have experienced that before. But certainly with a white hat, you could wear it with anything. And I think that you'd probably be hard pressed to find a color that you couldn't wear this with. So I think it actually makes a lot of sense. You can see it's got the gold LV emblem off to the side. And just take a moment and just recognize the craftsmanship that goes into the meticulous detail that Louis Vuitton puts out. You can see the stitch running straight up the front of the cap, and then you have an LV right smack in the middle. And I love how LV aligns everything. That's actually a hallmark of true quality luxury. So this is the multicolor hat, and it runs $805. So a decent price as these items go. Next is this multicolor charm bracelet, and this is really pretty. This one is $480. I think if you really wanted to just get little something, just so that you can carry it with you and enjoy the moment that the brand is actually having, this is probably the cheapest item that they're selling, $480, but still, you know, $480 for a simple bracelet that's not real gold. But if you love it, the heart wants what it wants. You know, it's funny because as I look at these, I kind of think about the fact that I don't really like rainbow kind of bags. And to me, this is very kind of cutesy rainbow. But it's funny because as I'm looking at some of the Murakami recent designs that he did on some of these capucines, I'm looking at this one and look at all the colors on this. I mean, can you get more rainbow than this? And yet I'm like so drawn to it and I love it. This I think was about $30,000, so certainly not within my price bracket, but nonetheless, I can admire it from afar. You don't have to own everything that you love. I can just enjoy looking at it, visiting it anytime I want, and just talking about it if I want. So yeah, she's pretty. Something that I missed on the previous video is this on-the-go PM. And I wanted to point out this stitching. Look at the details along this stitching. This really is beautiful. And again, it just really sets apart luxury from other designers when you have that embossed LV stitching along the entire band of this bag. What I also like about this is that you have that removable bow lock combination with the studs on it. You know, it's interesting because what was that designer? Valentino rock studs were all the rage going back. What was it like? I don't know, 8 years ago or so. And now people talk about the rock studs that are not in style anymore, but I think Louis Vuitton's bringing them back. But what I like about this particular bow is that it is a throwback to, you know, a trend that was probably 10 years ago. However, if you want to be retro, you put the bow on, but if you don't want to be retro, you can take it off and then you have a completely up-to-date stylish bag. I mean, this is probably going to be the look for 2026. If you pick something like this up, then you're going to be on trend. I wanted to go back to the travel Alma. So I have it here on the screen, and you know, I was originally thinking that this was really cute and I thought it would be really cute to travel with. But the more I think about it, the more I look at the bottom, and it's probably completely covered with that vachetta. And I just think that that's just such a crime. Anytime I see the bottom of Louis Vuitton bags covered with vachetta, I just like cringe because I just don't want a life of enslavement on having to worry about that bag. I mean, Louis Vuitton, why are you doing this to us? Why are you requiring us to pay such close attention to every place we put our bag down at? And when you have these bags that are just covered in that vachetta, oh my gosh. I don't know how people purchase these. I really don't. I just feel like Louis Vuitton has positioned these bags to just make you obsessed with what is going on, having to baby that thing. I'm not a fan of vachetta, and I do appreciate it when it patinas a little bit, but there's a fine line between a nice patina and a expired bag patina. And it almost makes you think that Louis Vuitton is creating these bags to be disposable, because I can guarantee you that people who have a plethora of money are not carrying a beat up Louis Vuitton bag with aged out, expired patina. Those bags are probably meant to be thrown out. And I almost think that they have made the Alma the cheapest bag in their entire line, just kind of recognizing that if you get that bag and your vachetta bottom is so beat up by the time you finished using it, maybe like a month or two, I don't even know, 3, 4, 5, 1 year probably, you are not going to want that bag. And I feel like this is going to be the same thing. I just don't think that this is going to be a good purchase unless you are the type of client that you can just see Louis Vuitton as disposable. Maybe you are. The other thing that I noticed is on the Neverfull. So you can see on that back pocket, it doesn't look like it's actually attached. So if you get the regular Neverfull, that pocket just kind of flops in the back. This one looks like the pocket actually slides down in between the liner and the canvas. I thought that was really interesting. I've never seen that before. I don't know if it's just because maybe this is a prototype and this isn't, you know, maybe like an AI generated image where Louis Vuitton is putting together their thoughts, but it just seems strange to me that pocket is enclosed in between the lining and the canvas. Interesting. Honestly, I think the cutest thing in this lineup is probably this Vivienne bag charm with the fleur-de-lis over her eye. I think that she's absolutely adorable. And you know, she's so versatile. You could put that on any bag and all of a sudden you're Murakami. So it doesn't matter what bag you own, you put it on there and now you have Murakami. And that one goes for, let's see, $805. So I think if I was going to get something from this collection, it would be number one, the Vivienne bag charm for $805. Potentially the sneakers for $1,030, the frame flat shoes for $1,010. Of course, you could always get the key pouch for $475, the toiletry 19 for $885, the MM Agenda for $990, the Lisa wallet for $680. And honestly, I think if I was gonna get a wallet, it would probably be the wallet on chain Ivy, and that one goes for $2,320. I think I would want something kind of small, as I said, not to overpower my outfit at all. And I don't actually own any Murakami items. I have survived this long without an interest in this particular collection, but I do see the beauty in it, and I know that this collection is wildly popular. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I get influenced by my fellow influencers. So I think if I was going to get something, those would be the things that I would actually get. So let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking up anything from this collection. I'm really curious to see what everyone's interested in, and I'll catch you in the next one.